Here's a pretty loaded question. What is art? Whilst people think of drawings or sculptures, Oxford Dictionary declares that it is any form of expression or creative work that applies human creative ability. This can range from music to buildings to books and, in my favorite case, video games. There is often a debate as to whether video games are considered art or not, because those art critics are like, oh, it's just a game, you just press buttons, do. Well, in actuality, those sort of guys are the same ones who just stare at like a banana on the screen or like a little squiggly line for 30 minutes and talk about how deep it is and connected to society it is.
What the hell is this?
However, I think the main question that should be asked is how artistic a game is. To me, there are 4 different categories of games that can be fallen into artistic merit. There are those which are more narrative-based and those that are considered more artsy. There are ones which are much more mechanical and don't have that much in way of art. There are those which are sandbox-like games, which you can create art in the game. And then there are complete abominations. Now, I would like to talk about this one. Let's just go first with the mechanical games. Mechanical games are those which the actual gameplay is much more in focus than the art itself or as an art form. But the actual graphics and art, that sort of sense, in the game are generally heightened because of the focus more on the gameplay itself. As of such, these sort of games tend to be more memorable in regards to the art and the art style. A great example of this is the artist known as Ken Sugimori. Born sometime in Tokyo, Ken Sugimori is most known for being the art director of the Pokemon franchise, as well as the co-founder of Game Freak magazine, which later became the company. As well as designing the original 151 Pokemon, Ken Sugimori has also decided to stick around with the company and design pretty much most of the Pokemon, or help co-create most of the Pokemon for every single game afterwards. And I believe that he has a massively deep way of doing these designs and creations. Ken, the next region of Pokemon is going to be based on France. As such, could you design us some Pokemon that are more French in tone? Well, why don't we make a Pokemon based on poodles? The French love poodles, right? Great job, Ken. Now, could you please design us a Pokemon that shows everyone how great our coding skills are? Well, how about a panda with spots on it? But you know that there's a bit of a code that determines each Pokemon's original values and is completely unique? How about we make it so each of those spot areas are coordinates for the spots that go on the panda? It says here that we don't actually have a Pokemon as fire type in this region. Hey Ken, could you design us something hot? This isn't exactly what I meant. I'm sorry. Do you want me to go and fix that? No. This is fine. To me, this sort of work ethic and ethos is perfect for my sort of taste. I quite like putting a little bit of meaning into my own designs as well, aside from them just looking cool. So for example, in my case, I like to have characters with plating that protects their most vital areas. And also, when I create a character based on an animal or a species based on an animal, I like to put in every single sort of thing about that animal into the design and try and incorporate it the best I can. Now, while those games are really cool and nice, what most people think of when they think games are art are the more narrative ones. These I generally divide up into 2 categories. The first ones are the ones with great character depth and great narratives and great stories. And those are the sort of ones where it kind of makes you question your own life choices, makes you think of things that you wouldn't have normally thought, makes you really question who you are as a person, and makes you really stick around for the people in the story. The second type, and the one that's much harder to do, are those that are much more thematic in strength as opposed to characters. So they don't really have a set narrative and they don't really have set interactions, but the journey the characters go through are the ones that help immerse a player and help create and impart a new message onto them. The problem with these sort of games, however, is that sometimes when they try and make themselves out as an art piece, they tend to not work whatsoever. This generally means that they take away features that would be normal and just get rid of them because it's great art. Sometimes the games just are bad to play, look absolutely horrifying, are completely pretentious, and either their messages are completely underblown and subtle to the point where you don't even realize them, or completely overblown, hit you on the head, square in the face, and say, "Oh, look at how deep this is." However, this isn't to dismiss that sort of style at all whatsoever. Journey is a great game that presents itself as more of an art piece and is more around the themes of connectivity and interaction. And even though if you are alone at first, you are not. The most perfect example of this in the game is the fact that even though your character just looks kind of bland and normal, the fact that you actually, by yourself, go off on your own little journey and then encounter something else is absolutely incredible. And then when it turns out that that something else is just another player who in their world meets you. It's absolutely phenomenal, and the fact that they implemented that really drives home the message of bringing people together. Now we have talked about games with good art, and we have talked about games that describe themselves as art. But what about games where you can make art in them? These are the Sandbox Games. Sandbox Games are those where you can alter the environment around you and the world and do whatever you want with it. Games like Minecraft, Terraria, Starbound, these are all games where you can just do whatever you want with them. Create your own structures, destroy giant holes, or make them bigger for that matter. It's all up to you. When I talk about these games, I don't mean like just glorified paint tutorials and things like that, or glorified Photoshop, where it's just a little character branding on the thing and it's just like, Mario Paint, it's absolutely amazing, just buy Microsoft, please. And while making art in games is fun, what about making games in games? Some games like Dreams allow you to do exactly just that, by making it so that you can just select anything that you want, design anything you want, and build anything you want to play. You can create things just not defined by genre, or you can create things which are just absolutely ridiculous and spooky, or you can create things that are just incredible recreations of existing games. And it can show you how great your skills are in this sort of world of coding and everything like that. Because of how accessible and simple to use these games are, many sort of dismiss them as, little kids games. But I disagree with that notion. In fact, I think they're more adult than a lot of other games. It allows you to do whatever you want, and the best things that are ever made are generally done by the adults who stick around and play those sort of games. In fact, you probably get more fans doing these sort of things than just posting it randomly online. And in conclusion, or finale, or whatever you want to call it, video games are probably the best art medium in the 21st century. And because of that, I believe that video games should be called art because the fact that people can interact with the art piece very well makes it better than things like drawings and sculptures, where if you touch it, you immediately make it worth $0. And even after all this, you still don't think video games are art, then, well, I can't do anything about that. You're a lost cause, sorry.